Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, How RFID Increases Shipment Accuracy. Two housekeeping points before we get started. The session is being recorded, and you will receive a link over the next few days by email. Secondly, please submit your questions throughout the presentation in the Q&A section, and we will be addressing these toward the end of the webinar. Barcodes Group is a leading provider of barcode, mobile computing, and RFID solutions. Our solution platforms bring together hardware, software, supplies, and support. With chargebacks due to mistakes in shipping estimated to be $36 billion, RFID is quickly becoming the most efficient and effective means of automating inventory and asset tracking. To discuss how RFID increases shipment accuracy, we couldn't ask for two better speakers to explore the topic with you. Jeff Hudson is president of SLS, a company he founded in 2005. The company's vision from the start has been to give supply chains visibility to their digital identities using RFID. Jeff has more than 30 years of experience in the automatic identification industry. Matt Seltz has worked for over 25 years in supply chain solutions at companies like Ford, WareNet, and Zebra. He has a focus on the use of RFID and location, and currently leads the team that developed a highly recognizable next-generation statistics solution at the NFL, utilizing RFID. Thanks for joining us today, Jeff and Matt. And Jeff, please take it away.
Thank you, Edwin. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks, everybody, for joining us this afternoon to talk about RFID and shipment verification. Edwin, if you wouldn't mind kicking off a quick survey, and if the attendees wouldn't mind clicking on the buttons here to give us a little feel for who's on the call and what level of interest and or use or previous use of RFID you have. It helps us to go along through this and make sure we touch on hot points for you. Up on your screen also right now is the agenda on the things that we're going to cover today. So the need for RFID and why the technology fits in the industry, of course, why RFID has hit the point. And Edwin mentioned that I've been doing this a long time, since the early 2000s when Walmart helped kick this whole industry off. But why is the timing right now? So we're going to cover that today. And then, of course, focus in on one of the use cases, one of the many use cases that have been proven out with the technology, and that is today's topic of shipment verification. So I'll kind of walk through that. And then we'll go into tangible return on investment. In other words, not just how cool the technology is and why it works in shipment verification, but as the end user implements this, what is the return on investment and what efficiency gains are you going to get by using the technology? And then, of course, we'll drop down to Barcode solutions offerings for this technology in this use case. And I'll cover a few of those. And then, of course, Matt Seltz will jump in and cover the Zebra portion of that as well. So it looks like we got results back in, and yeah, we got actually a lot of people that have implemented it already successfully, which that's great to hear. And then we also have some that want to expand, and then no, but RFID is interesting. So that's good. We got a good mix here. So I'll make sure I touch on all levels of that. Edwin, you want to jump to the next? So the first thing, we're going to go through some slides here just on some statistics on why, and some of these, of course, you guys will have a good feel. Some of them maybe your company is good at, so you don't see it quite as bad. But 69% of companies don't have complete visibility to their supply chain, and a lot of the reasons for that is the automation or lack thereof, and also the reliance on human intervention to get the data to give you visibility. So that's one of the key ones. 2.5 billion lost every year, revenue leakage. And again, a lot of that's missed shipments that we'll talk about. And then, of course, 50 billion in workplace theft. And that, depending on your industry, can be a big problem or a small problem. 36 billion chargebacks. And again, these are due to shipping mistakes. And that's, again, whether you just don't have it labeled right, or you've shipped the wrong product to the wrong customer. And then you have to somehow reroute that to get it to the right customer. A lot of lost revenue in companies is due to that. 389,000, that's average per warehouse in mispicks. In other words, I got the wrong product thought I was shipping it to the right customer, shipped it, and then found out after the fact it was wrong. And then the bottom one's extremely important in the return on investment, 5 times the cost of the freight once you have a problem. In other words, to either reroute that, return it, or expedite replacements. Big cost to fix the problems. 50% of the labor resources involved in the pick, pack, ship. In this slide, these statistics here are really going to focus on labor. Something we're really seeing, of course, as everyone can imagine, during the pandemic over the last few years, it's been hard to get people back to work. Companies are being forced to continue to move the same kind of production, but with less labor. So how do you deal with that? How do I automate? How do I do it to make my labor force more efficient? But these are some of the pain points, again, on why RFID and how we can help solve this problem. That's a current problem in everybody's workforce. So this is a nice slide that I like to talk about, especially for those in the data that I just looked at, a bunch of you that have looked at it but not implemented it yet. So once considered too new, RFID has hit its stride. And years ago, there was a few reasons. It started early. Again, I started my company about a decade too early. And why I say that is because the technology was still developing. So the companies like Zebra, who is on the call, were still developing readers to fit the use cases. The tag manufacturers that created the chips that go into the RFID labels, they were getting those better so that we could read them easier and only read the ones that we want to read. And then, of course, driving down the cost. If you look at back when I started an RFID label was in the neighborhood of $1 each, which made it expensive, where we're seeing that sub 10 cents now to enable outbound shipments. So there's several reasons. But then the last one that we're going to touch on, and it's why we're going into a use case, is it gave companies like ours who provide full solutions time to figure out where the technology fit as far as use cases go and how we could develop solutions that not only used the technology, but also gave the end users a good return on investment and gave real efficiency gains and extra profitability at each touch point. So that's why it's hit its stride. So again, we're going to get into shipment verification, how the technology is used there and what we're solving for. So again, we talked about high cost of manual human labor, and that is whether they're hand counting it or if your shipment process today has you doing checks on a piece of paper where you're actually doing it by hand, or even barcode scanning, again, forcing a user to pick up a barcode scanner, pull the trigger and read what you're putting into the truck. And again, that can work, but also relies on human intervention. So if we can reduce the human intervention involved, increase the accuracy, that's a big win in shipment verification. And of course, what we're trying to solve is missed shipments. If I can then notify at the dock door, so at the transition point where I'm moving the product into the trailer, if I'm in the wrong door, I need to let the material handler know that immediately so that he can react, pull that back off the truck immediately, and fix the problem before it leaves your dock. And then you have that high cost of freight to either reroute or expedite. And then, of course, just poor tracking. It's also nice to know at the end of that truckload exactly what went on. You can get more accurate on your ASNs to your customers. If you're sending those, then I know exactly the serial number of everything that went onto that truck, and therefore have greater customer service. And again, then back down to significant savings on goods too, because I'm not losing them. So excellent benefits on shipment verification. We'll talk a bit now on how we do that. So the return on investments, here's what we're doing and what we're improving. Receive time, actually we have that on there. So that would be on the opposite side. We'll do another webinar on that. But once I'm RFID enabling things for my customers, I'm increasing the accuracy outbound, but then on the inbound, that's talking about now I don't have to scan everything inbound. I just bring it into a facility and receive it all in much less time. But on the shipping side, increasing the accuracy. And part of that 80% increase is really because I'm catching the errors. So on a for instance there, if today you do a barcode scan of a pallet and then the material handler picks that up and then drives it into the truck, if he happens to drive into an adjacent dock door, there's no way to catch that with barcode technology. So you put it on the wrong truck and nobody knows. When we RFID enable that same shipping label, so the barcode's still there, but instead of picking up a scanner and scanning it, the material handler picks that pallet up. And when he drives through the dock door and we read that at the transition point, If it's on the wrong truck, we can alert him either on his tablet that's on his fork truck, or we can sound an alarm or turn on a red light. Multiple ways to do that. But that's one of the big gains, is because we're catching that mistake at the last point that, before it leaves your facility. And of course, that gets us to the 50% decrease in claims and chargebacks because we're more accurate on the outbound side. And then on the bottom right, 99.9% order shipment accuracy. And that's really what you'll see as our target on our read rate performance from RFID if the complete solution is properly engineered. But the last one I wanted to go to is the bottom in the middle, a 25% gain in productivity. And that's actually from one of our customers. So we have firsthand to that. And it's a major retailer that was already very, very good, as you would imagine, with high volume on outbound shipments. And that 25% gain in productivity really came from just what I talked about earlier, which was eliminating the need to pick up the barcode scanner and scan the pallet and then put it on the truck. What we let the material handlers do was just pick the material up and put it on the truck, which is what their core job is. And the only thing we had to do to solve for that was where they were currently using Zebra printers to print the barcode label and put the label on the pallet. We just added RFID technology. We still use the same printers, just upgraded them, add the RFID inlay to the existing 4x6 shipping label. But now I removed the need to pick up the barcode scanner and scan it. I allowed it to get staged in the lane the same way it did previously. And then just on the outbound, material handler removes it. I create the shipping manifest as everything transitions across the dock plate, or I can even validate against a predetermined intent of shipment to let that operator know that what's left to get on the load, how much is on the load, how much weight's on the load. So a lot of neat, usable, actionable data can be presented without that user being required to scan anything. So automatic data collection, very, very accurate. So the pieces for a solution like this, and I talked to a couple of them, but of course the devices, which Zebra's going to talk about at the end here, doctor portals and things like that. Software becomes a key, because one of the differences here in using RFID is every label that you put on an item gives it a digital identity, and that is a unique identity. So we get away from a part number quantity scenario and more to unique things that are being loaded onto a truck. So the software will change a little bit in how we collect that data. We have the ability to collect hundreds of items on a read. So imagine 100 cases of things on one pallet that all have their unique identity. I can read all of those in a second and collect all that data immediately at that dock door and transact that data. So the software being purpose built for this use case is important. We'll talk a bit about that. Supplies, and we talk about RFID inlays. You see a picture of one there, but it's extremely important that you pick the right one for your use case. So there are different inlays depending on the product that you're going to put that tag on. And then of course the services involved to do that, and how much expertise the group has that you use to do it, to make sure that all four of these pieces are put together properly to give you a successful implementation. So software is the first one we'll touch on. Barcodes Group offers a product called SLS View. It's cloud-based, resides up in Microsoft Azure. Also has Android applications that can run on a tablet, a Zebra tablet that could be mounted to the dock door portal, might be in the fork truck, or could be in your traditional handheld computer that your users carry around. But fully integrated into a backend system. So that data then we use Microsoft services to integrate into systems like SAP from an ERP perspective, or Manhattan. If you're using Manhattan for a warehouse management application, we would integrate that back into your existing system. So all application driven and very focused on controlling the edge from an RFID perspective, talking to the readers like a Zebra reader, and presenting that data then back into your existing application. From a tag perspective, and this is one that gets missed a lot, so I'm gonna point to this a bit and make sure that any of you guys that haven't done RFID before and jumping into it, or even those that have tried it in the past and maybe saw some failure, this is something that gets looked at as a commodity from a lot of end users that try to implement the technology. And one of the problems with that is what I talked about earlier. It's extremely important that the inlay you choose, in other words, the antenna design on the RFID inlay that goes into your label, is purposely designed for the product and the use cases that you have. And some of the mistakes that we see is if procurement gets involved and finds the cheapest inlay out there for the business case, it may destroy your whole system, because you might get an inlay then that isn't able to be read in some of the touch points in your supply chain. So it's extremely important that you pay attention to tag choice as you're doing the design phase of using this technology for shipment verification. And again, you'll see here, Barcodes Group has expertise in all of this, everything down to the adhesive to stick to whether it's plastic or if it happens to be just a corrugate. But that is extremely important in the design. And then, of course, services, site surveys. Again, we would perform site surveys at your site to make sure that we don't see anything out of the ordinary from a dock door perspective. Installation services, and just to give you a quick feel on how good this has been developed. Now, if you look at the products that Matt Seltz is going to talk to you about here in a minute, we've gotten very good at making this a rinse and repeat. So it's no longer a science project at the dock door. So for instance, I think our fastest installation was one warehouse that had 57 dock doors. We had a 4-man crew, and we deployed that whole solution in one day. And then maybe one of our biggest ones in the neighborhood of 215 dock doors at a facility, same 4-man crew, in 8 days had all of that installed, wired, and sending data to the cloud. So it's very scalable, very repeatable, and you don't have to aim antennas and things like that. And Matt will talk about that. So the installation services are important. And then, of course, engineering and project management touches on everything that I talked about here to make sure we've got the right hardware, the right tags, and of course, the right software solution to make your whole solution work successfully and give you the ROI that I identified earlier. And I'm going to pass this over to Matt.
Thanks, Jeff. So Zebra is really, focused on, being a solution enablement a partner with people like Jeff. And so at the tail end of last year, we partnered with SLS to launch a new line of integrated portals and tunnels that I think make RFID solutions come to life and easy to deploy. Next slide. So the benefits of why do we partner together? Zebra for the longest time has been a best-in-class RFID provider of hardware. We teamed with Jeff to make an integrated portal. One of the things that we're really focused on is we've had proven technologies that have been out in the industry for a long time, but we haven't always made them over time. If you've tried, like I've seen some of you have been trying to deploy RFID solutions, you might find that it was difficult to do. So we really have focused on how can we make this easy to design, install, and support. We've taken these proven technologies and put them in a package that I think really brings these solutions to life. So as it relates to the shipment verification, the portal that we think is the best fit is the dock door portal that we have. And again, its focus again was to say, how can we bring these things and how can we make it easy to design? If in many of your industries, you probably find that, hey, I don't have time to have people tie up my dock doors. I mean, they're very busy. We need to kind of get in and out. So we really focused on how can we make this a seamless transition, make it easy to design, get in and out, and then also how is it easy to support? So realistically, preparation for some of these installs is nothing more than putting a network drop in. And as Jeff alluded to, we can bring many dock doors to life in a matter of a day or days. Next slide. So why the integrated portal with SLS and Zebra? Well, we bring kind of, again, I think two best-in-class technologies together. The reader technology that Zebra is focused on with an antenna focus that Jeff has in with the SLS New Wave antenna. So you can see from the pattern that's shown here on the right-hand side of the slide. When you try to do this with patch antennas, you can see that the coverage area it's got a lot of holes in it, where when we use the New Wave antenna technology, we have a better coverage. Ways that people have tried to get around that in the past is to increase the read range or the intensity of the read, and you'll get reads that stray reads. You really only want to read between the two portals. If you saw the slide previous, you saw those portals between the dock doors, you only want to read the things that are moving through the portals into the trailers. So this combination of Zebra reader technology and the New Wave antennas I think is the best fit and best in class for bringing this kind of use case to life. And lastly, you know, again, I said we've been really focused on the need for easy to design, easy to deploy, and easy to support. I think that's really, you know, Jeff talked earlier about RF technology coming, you know, coming to life, getting cheaper. But one of the things that's really come to life is that it's purpose built for the environment. We can install it in a way that don't disrupt your business. And then for ongoing support, you can see we have different packages that are easy to purchase and easy to get to on site and get deployed. And then you can see the design is actually built for high traffic areas with high lows. They tend to possibly get hit. We've designed them so that they're breakaways, that, you know, these portals can even get hit. They'll still operate, and then they break away, and they're designed so that then you don't have to replace the entire portal. You can come out and we can just reattach them to the floor. So different packages like that we've really thought of. So not only do you get the best in technology, but also thought about, again, easy to design, easy to deploy, and easy to support.
Well, thanks so much, Matt. That was great. I appreciate it, Jeff, as well. And at this moment, we are ready to start Q&A. So we wanted to spend quite a bit of time on that, since it looks from the poll that you definitely are looking into this sometimes for the very first time. So you may well have questions. We'd like to answer those. Before I do that, I want to launch a poll and ask you what topic might be of interest to you for a future webinar. We've seen by the attendance today, there's a lot of interest in RFID. Today, Jeff and Matt covered shipment verification and accuracy, but there is other use cases, as you see listed on the screen. So we'd like you to kind of take a second and fill out that poll and let us know what might be the topics that you appreciate most. Also, I want to let you know that we'd like to reach out to you and talk about a complimentary assessment of your company's shipment verification process. A lot of times, through a quick conversation, you may find that it's helpful to maybe learn more about RFID, or maybe there's other tips or tricks of the trade that we can give you. And by attending this webinar, you kind of express an interest in this, and we'd love to do that. So let me close the poll and at this moment and share the results. And the results are across the board. It looks very interesting that there's 5 different topics. And maybe Jeff or Matt, do you want to address how you see this? Because it looks like people are liking a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that tells me that I think Matt and I and Edwin and of course Martha, who's listening in too, we kind of hit the mark there, because that's, you know, we're planning on doing a series and we're going to hit a lot of these. And cycle counting, of course, is one of the next big ones. I think that once you've tagged things, there's a huge payback there. So we'll do a webinar on that and talk through how we do that. But very excited to see the spread across all of those.
You know, the only thing I'll add to is that, you know, the on-demand economy is changing the way, you know, we have to track inventory and accuracy that's needed and information needed in real time. And I think that choice of all those topics hitting it, you know, almost evenly really supports that.
Yeah, very good. So I'll leave this on the screen for you to take down, but yeah, we do look forward to following up with you and provide a free assessment of your company's shipment verification processes. And if you would like a free assessment to increase your shipment accuracy, please send us an email or complete a form on one of the 2 listed websites. Right now, there's some questions came in already. And the first one I thought personally was very interesting. It's a use case that Matt and Jeff can probably shine their light on. We're looking at utilizing this to confirm retail packed items in an outbound shipping carton for clothing and accessories, an example there. So what accuracy rates can be expected from multiple SKUs in a case that may have high density, have metallic zippers, duplicate SKUs, accessories, etc. So how does the RFID scanning impact MHE flow rates?
Yeah, that's a great question. Of course, we have a lot of experience in that. We have some major clothing manufacturers, as you could imagine. Apparel industry is by far the biggest consumer of RFID tags. And so it's the biggest industry. We actually look at it, just so you know, in our side of the business, as that's the easy one for us. So apparel is very high. You won't ever hear me say 100%. I try to avoid 100% read rate. So 99.9 is what I think your expectation should be in that use case. But there's a couple of different ways to do that. So depending on what your outbound looks like, if you're sending pallets with lots of cases and all of those heavily packed, we would normally move up your supply chain in that. So in other words, we would do box content, which was one of your choices on a future webinar, on how we would link everything in a box to a box and then build the pallet and then only read the pallet going outbound of the door. So there's a few different ways to solve that, but for sure 99.9 should be your target, if not greater.
I know it's maybe something we address in the future, Jeff, but could you talk about inbound as well? Is it realistic to expect 99.9% or better accuracy for received case inventory records?
Well, absolutely. However, that does rely a bit on whoever your supplier is to use the right tag and do everything right, like I talked about. So if they've got somebody that's got the right tag on the kind of product, and then follow global standards is also another key that we didn't touch on today. But there are global standards for almost every industry on how to encode the tags. But for sure, then if that is all done properly from what I'll say the supplier or vendor, when that comes inbound to your facility, absolutely you should expect 99.9% read rates coming inbound.
Nice.
The only thing I would add to that is I think we're seeing more and more with the mandates of source tagging from manufacturer that, that's why I think we're seeing an explosion in the need for RFID and especially in the portal stuff that we're talking about at dock doors, because visibility has never been higher and mandates for source tagging has never been higher. So I think it's kind of like the perfect storm for the RFID adoption.
Yeah.
So how many portals do you need per door? Just one or two or on each side?
That's a good question, and that's always a little confusing. So when you hear us use the term portal, it's actually two of those stands, one on the right side of the door, one on the left side of the door, and antenna cables that connect the two. So it is both stands, but we refer to that as one portal. So one dock door solution.
Got it. So then does the speed limit of, how quickly packages travel through the portals, does that affect the read accuracy, or how fast can they read?
Also a great question. We get asked that in almost every implementation. And so we always, we challenge the fork truck driver to back up and put the pedal down and go as fast as you normally would. So we do design the systems to go, our target, because we see this most commonly, is 5 miles per hour for governed fork trucks. And again, I'm talking about US. We see some different things in Canada a little faster there, but speed usually does not affect us. Unless you're in an environment where I want to read, 1,000 tags on that transition, then of course speed would come into play. But if you're talking about hundreds of tags or less, 100 tags or less, 5 miles an hour, full fork truck speed, you should not have to slow down. They should move product the way they did prior to RFID.
The only thing I'll add to that is, I'll refer back to that slide where we showed the coverage patterns, right? I think these purpose-built portals really eliminate dead spots, right? And so also supports this, as you're trying to read in a short time span, that these portals are purposely designed to give you the best read results.
Well, if everybody, I still see a bunch of people on, so somebody asked about if we got people close to their location. So both Zebra and Barcodes Group are global companies. So depending on where you are, yeah, we have somebody that can touch your facility no matter where you are. And I think most of these people on this call are North America. So it's a home run no matter where you're at. We have coverage to support your needs. Nashville, Tennessee, somebody put on there. Yes, Nashville, Tennessee, we cover that. We got you covered there. And see, there's another one.
Canada.
Oh yeah, Toronto, Canada, no problem there. That's our OCR group that covers all of Canada for us.
Hey, Jeff, I see one about a live demo. Can I have a live demo?
Yeah, absolutely. That's Edwin put up there on the screen, the RFID at barcodesinc.com. If you would hit that email, absolutely. The solutions architects team will call, do a quick assessment. If we believe that there's an opportunity there, quite often we'll do that to come out and show that. We've also got our own labs that you can come and visit that are completely set up with these use cases and walk through them here too. So both directions we can do that. And again, you will get a follow-up from everybody. I think Todd just sent the message out there too. So you'll get a follow-up email, everybody that attended from the Barcodes team. And then of course you can ask for that assessment too. And keep in mind, those that answered the questions that said that you already got one and you successfully implemented it, we still would be happy to do a free assessment. We might be able to just help you make what you have better, not necessarily replace what you have or want to change it at all. But if you can tell us any of the problems that you're having, or if you'd like to see maybe better read rates than you're getting today, we might be able to help you with that. And somebody threw out what's a lead time. You know, Zebra and SLS partnered to make sure lead time's not an issue. So we're all working on that. As everyone knows, supply chain today, you know, things change based on that. But right now, you know, 4-week lead time is our standard that we throw out there. We can do it quicker if we need to on small quantities. Huge quantities might take a little longer. Somebody else threw, are we already deployed at Fortune 100 companies? Absolutely. Yes. So, yep. Zebra and SLS partnered at the majors. A lot of them we can't mention, but you can go out and, you know, a lot of people have done this, especially at the major corporation level.
But I'll only add, I don't think you'll see a stronger partnership with us coming together that in the RFID industry that can support you.
What type of network connectivity? Again, Matt mentioned it quick, but we don't need any AC power for this solution. So it's just a PoE network drop, one at each door. If you're just going to run the portal, if you want to run like a Zebra CC6000 Android tablet there too, to do a shipment verification app that's going to run, then 2 PoE drops at the door. But it's just the whole thing runs off of PoE.
Right. Yeah. Again, I'll reiterate, you know, I've said it again, but that is the theme of us coming together, is to make this easy to deploy, right, and replicate. That was one of the holdbacks for many years, I think, in RFID, and I think we've solved that.
So real time. Again, there's multiple solutions. So we would want to talk to that one a bit. As somebody's asking, again, do you get real-time visibility to all the inventory in the warehouse? So some of our future webinars, you know, one of the big ones you guys hit again on the questionnaire was cycle counting. A lot of people hit that. So if you're cycle counting on a daily basis, which you can do very easily with once all your products are RFID enabled, then yes, it's going to give you visibility to the inventory levels that are real time. If you're asking for a dot on the map, a little bit different in how we would deploy that, but Zebra also has some technologies for that too. We would just have to make sure it fits with your product mix.
Yeah, I would say, I think that's, you know, we would, you know, that comes down to the assessment. I think we're always willing, you know, if you bring us your needs, we'll give you the assessment. And again, I think us partnering together, we have a lot of RFID solutions that we can implement for you. And sometimes they're combinations of things. We showed you one instance today of a dock door scenario, but together we can do a lot with RFID.
Integrated into NetSuite, absolutely. We have a big customer that we're in with NetSuite. Most of the majors out there we've done, and in addition to homegrown. So we've got people that have, you know, I-Series, AS400s in place where they wrote all their own and we're integrated to those. But again, NetSuite, yes. High Jump, yes. Manhattan, SAP, all of those we have done with great success. Yeah, plants, I see that one too. That's a big industry right now. That is doable. We have solutions for that. I can tell everyone, whether you like it or not, marijuana is one of the big ones right now. So that industry is forcing tracking, and RFID is being used to do that tracking. So there are tags, again, RFID tags specifically made for plants.
I don't see any more popping in right now, Jeff. I don't know.
No, and I think we're way over time too. So,
yeah.
But your questions will be in that. And again, the Barcodes group's going to follow up with an email to everybody. So if you had some questions, we'll get them answered for you. And again, that'll happen very quickly. So you'll see some quick activity out to you, and we'll make sure that we take care of that for you. Cold storage is not an issue. I just saw that one pop through. So no, we're using that all the time in the cold storage area.
So I guess I think we are going to address that. If you keep sending them in, even if they come in after, I think that we sign off here. You know, what the team will be getting back to you. Hit those links. We really do appreciate you guys spending the time with us today, and look forward to hitting on some different use cases in the future.
Yeah. So thanks everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.